All right, so next up, I believe that we have Ravi coming up here talking something about burritos. I don't know, let's find out. All right.
Actually, I am talking only about burritos, and I'm glad that I have both screens available here.
Yeah.
So I'm Ravi Lachman. My slides auto-advance. If I pause a little bit, so I'm waiting for advance, I'll be talking about the 12-layer burrito versus the 12-factor application. It's quite apparent that I know a lot about burritos and not a lot about cloud-native applications. A little bit about myself. I'm a technical evangelist at AppDynamics, now a Cisco company. I worked at Mesosphere, Red Hat, and IBM for a while. I built a lot of systems and crashed a lot of systems. I can programmatically corrupt a database, and I can't do a CIDR calculation. So divide by 8 or divide by 16, I cut half internet off one time. But why? You know, a lot of my background, I worked at an app server vendor, and we always talk about feeds and speeds, but never taste. I wanted to do a blind app server taste test, and the folks at Red Hat thought I was crazy, so I no longer work there. But we really use our mouth a lot. If we compare a burrito to a cloud-native application, one is food native, one is cloud native. Really, one is tangible and one's not intangible. I'll make a bold claim that the burrito was the original container before Docker. Like, you were storing things in burritos before that. So let's talk about a little bit about the 12-factor application. So the first thing you need is a code base. So what is a code base? Literally where all your deploys come from. It should be in source code management. This is kind of a given, right? But again, one of the factors in a 12-factor application that your deploys will be coming from a code base that you manage. Here we go, some dependencies, these cows here. You need to have a package manager for your dependencies. Your internal and external or explicit and implicit dependencies should be in a package manager. Here we depend on the cows for the delicious beef in the burrito. Configuration, yes. So your configuration should be stored in the environment, right? So if you're going from dev in to dev to prod or QA to prod, your configurations that are needed for the application to be stored in environmental variables, or this at least from the 12-factor manifesto here, we can have multiple types of meat. Backing services, here's the squad at Chipotle that supports you. Treat your backing services as attached resources. So what does this mean? If you have a database or a message queue, now treat this as a part of the app. The same rigor that you have in the application, your backing services should have. Yes. So build, release, and run should be separated. Your build, again, coming from source code. Your release is injecting the configuration that you need into the particular build. And then your execution environment, which is run, should all be separated. This is one I kind of disagree with here, but process, per the 12-factor manifesto, all your processes should be run as a stateless process. At the end of the day, state has to go somewhere, right? Like if they're being a backing database. But again, per the manifesto, if you have an application, it's cloud native, it should be stateless. Port binding. All of your ports should be offset or be managed by an offset. Now, Rice binds Burrito. I found this to be where I got my inspiration from. But if you have different sorts of, let's say, tiers in your application, this should be offset by ports. Concurrency. So your application should be able to handle concurrency. Here we have multiple burritos, which are easily concurrent, like containers. Running multiple applications shouldn't interfere with each other, so having things that are thread safe are important. If they're stateless, you know, who cares about the concurrency at that point because it doesn't matter. Yes, disposability. Look at these poor little burritos here. So starting an app, actually stopping your application is also very important. If you have an application that doesn't gracefully stop, that can be a problem. Again, in a cloud-native application, gracefully stopping is important. And we all can talk about this all day here, dev, prod, parity. You know, what happens in development should be the same that happens in QA, it happens in prod. We talk about it, but you know, as an important factor in 12-factor app, it should be there, right? And my favorite one's coming up next, because I do work for a modern company, logs. So whoever spent $104 at Taco Bell this night definitely has a story. And if you use something like Splunk, your logs should tell a story. It shouldn't just be, you know, random gibberish. It should be a trace or tell a story of what's going on. And lastly, your admin process. I really like Krispy Kreme, so I was thinking about how I can put donuts in the presentation. But if you're running an admin process like a monitoring solution, it shouldn't be in the same process that it's running, right? So if you're running something on a PaaS and you're monitoring the PaaS with the PaaS, kind of a bad idea to do that. And that's pretty much it. I mean, stay hungry. You can hit me up at rlachman@cisco.com or at RaviLoch. So if you have any questions about cloud native stuff or food in general, come see us at the booth. Get you guys hooked up.